we're gonna start. This is the video that I promised on, my opinion on supports in ranked and on Chronos in general. This is a support-based video. I want you to start that off. So this is me talking about support. Right out of the gate, I do not buy Chronos on the following healers. I do not buy Chronos on Genos, except on a couple of builds. I do not buy Chronos on Furia, except as a filler pick if I need to. I do not buy Chronos on Ceres, ever, unless I'm accidentally running my damage build on a healing card. I do not run Chronos on Damba, unless I need to get my gourd out faster. I do not run Chronos on Ying, ever. Like, Ying. If you're buying Chronos on Ying, you got problems, brah. You just got problems. Why is that? Now, every support has cards built into their loadout that give them cooldown reduction. For example, Ying.
Forward.
We'll just pull up Ying. I have a lifelike build and a life exchange build. We'll just do the lifelike build, just as an FYI. This is balanced right here. Eliminations reduce all active cooldowns by 1 second. And the other thing I do is, on Ying specifically, increase the duration of the illusions, sometimes increase health. That way there, I'm able to have them out longer, so hopefully they don't expire by the time my cooldown is down. Which, by the way, let's just show off the Ying skin, too. There we go. And then you have a champion. The next healer that we have is Damba. Spirit's chosen. This is snake healing. I completely skipped that. I apologize. So, this right here, Feed the Spirits is a good card. That's a filler card. I don't really run that as much. Mostly it's for the eerie presence. So if I miss my L2, I'm not impeded by it. I can recast it instantly. I do buy Chronos on him a bit more. I used to buy Chronos because of the gourd, but I'm happy on the 10-second cooldown, to be honest. You know, these are just primary healing. Pip is another champion that, let's go Mega Potion in this build. You have the 2.4 second cooldown reduction every time you hit an ally, which is pretty important on him because it means that basically if you hit 2 allies, you get 5 seconds off. So hit 2 people, you have a 3-second cooldown. Hit 3 people, you're looking at pretty much a reset on your cooldown. At 7.5 seconds on 8-second cooldown at that point, so... another champion, Ceres.
I must spend the credit.
Let's say Void Abides and use me. 2-second cooldown on my heal. Next one we go to would be what? Genos. Genos has been interesting. I play around with this. Okay, so Celestial Touch, Life Giver. So you would say, well, it's a 6-second cooldown, which is a longer primary heal. So why would you run that, you might say? Well, I also have an increased duration to go along with it, so I'm not necessarily concerned about the reducing cooldown on Genos specifically. So that's another reason why I don't. Now we get into the ones where I definitely do. Grover, I don't have much cooldown reduction. The only build I really have with cooldown reduction is this for 50%, but this is not the primary build that I run on him. Grok does not really have any cooldown reduction on the totem, which is your big heal. This is the primary build. I have the Gale on there, but that doesn't really count. Again, it's predicated on you using another ability to reduce the cooldown on another ability. But, still, it's a decent build. And then the last one is Furia. On Furia, I just showed this off. This is the last video. Cherish with this. So this drops it down to a 4-second cooldown. Why am I going through all this? What is the big thing that I look at on a healer is this. Looking at your items. Chronos is tied for the most, with Deft Hands, for the most expensive item in the game. You have to realize that it's 400 credits. So you spend all of your credits out of the gate on that one item. Then it's 800 credits to get it up to tier 2, and 1200 for tier 3. That means you have spent a total of 2400 credits for 30% cooldown. Now, it's for all abilities. But I don't look at my other abilities when I'm playing a support champion and say, I need cooldown reduction on shadow travel on Sarah. Let's actually do that. I don't need cooldown reduction on shadow travel. But I have it built in on this as well. So this is not an important thing for me. I'm not worried about shadow travel because every time I heal, I'm basically taking a second off every time I heal. So that's not necessarily a bad thing for me. I don't look and say, I need Chronos for that shadow travel, bruh. Especially when her ult is better. And you have to look, morale boost, in my opinion, is a better choice on most champions. This is the thing that I really look at, and this is very important. So your primary healing ability, I want you to know that, primary. So we're not talking about, you know, Furia with Solar Blessing. I get if you want to run Chronos for that. I'm just talking about, like, let's say I'm running Cherish. If I buy Chronos 1, is it taking 1 second off right away? On Furia, no. So I don't do it, except as a filler. On Genos, no. So I don't do it. On Grover, on Grok, yes it does. So I don't mind. This is the other thing. At tier 2, so this is the other thing for me. At tier 2, am I taking 2 seconds off? Because at tier 1 may not, but tier 2 does. For example, on Pip, I'm taking roughly 2 seconds off. So I get it on Pip. But I'm planning on actually getting that to tier 2. Same thing with Grover. Grover, on his base cooldown, you're trying to get him at an 8-second cooldown with Chronos 2. Grok, he has the long cooldown that you can't really reduce that much, so that's why on the 3 of them, I'd primarily buy it. On Damba, yes, on your Gourd, I understand you're at 8 seconds at Chronos 2, but that's a secondary heal, just like Furia. On Genos, I need Chronos 2 to shave off a second. So there's no point. Ceres can get to Chronos 3, and she still doesn't have a second off on my build. So there's never any reason for me to buy Chronos on Ceres. On Damba, I pretty much become the same. Maybe on occasion I will, but I don't really do it anymore. I'd rather put on reload speed. So that's my thing. Because I'm spending credits, I want an impact. If I'm spending credits, if I'm playing Grover, and I buy Chronos off the bat, I'm getting a second off. So I'm getting a value out of it. I'm able to heal my team faster by buying this item, as opposed to on Genos. I have to buy this item, and then save up all my credits, and buy the second level, so that I can then heal. And this is what's really important, and I want to mention this. I will choose Furia for this. We're gonna do Cherish, right? Now, mind you, on my build, I'm actually gonna run a build. I'll run this build. I'll run damage build, right? Alright? That's actually quite nice, the 22 ammo. I don't play around on this build that much, because I'm a healer. So I'm gonna do this here, just as an example. Actually, no, I'll go over here. Why not? Okay, so I'm buying... I have no cooldown reduction in this build. So let's say we buy the Chronos 1. I don't get anything out of it when I buy that item. So let's say this is how it goes. So here's your point right here, and let's say that's an ally, and there's enemies over here. Okay, just as an FYI. So, you spend your 400 credits out of the gate, clink, on Chronos 1.
I will keep this close.
I don't have a second cooldown reduction. Yeah. I'm at 5 seconds. And yet we're still healing, we're still winning. Shoot, 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 shoot. Heal. Now let's say we cap the point. By this point, if you've done pretty well, if you've done alright, you know, as specifically as a healer, with your heals and your damage and stuff like that, and you just cap the point, you should be at roughly about 600 credits, which again is still not enough for what we need for the Chronos. So now we actually have to push the cart. Now we have to push the cart into the enemy base. And we're pushing it, and we're pushing it, and we're pushing it, and we're pushing it, and we're pushing it. And then finally I have enough for Chronos 2. And we're close to the push. And let's just go out on a limb and say we push it in, right? Okay. So now I'm on Chronos 2. Now I have a 4-second cooldown. So now we're up 2-0. And me buying nothing but Chronos has paid off. Even though we're already winning. By a lot! It's 2-0! We're winning! Yeah! Everyone's happy! No one's spamming need healing, hopefully. There's no reason for me to be concerned. And so now, here's the thing. So now, remember, let's say I'm at about 200 credits. And then I get another 200 credits, so we're up to 400. And then we cap it. Now we're up 3-0. And I have a total of 700 credits. So I'm still 500 credits off of Chronos 3, right? We're probably going to push this in. That gives... I could buy Kill to Heal. I could buy Caught. I could buy Haven. I could buy Resilience. I could buy Deft Hands. I could buy Deft Hands and Kill to Heal, which is sad. Or I could save up for Chronos 3. Because if I just keep saving up for Chronos 3 and we push it in, I'll probably not die and have enough credits for Chronos 3, but it's not going to matter because we won, and I basically wasted all of those credits. Now let's say it's a different game. Let's say the game is entirely different. Let's say, for example, I'm up to Forward. So we'll do Damba with the Spirits Chosen and my healing. Right? Saw that. Okay, good. So on Damba, I'm better suited to get the reload speed. So I have more consistent stuns at close range, so I can slither out. I'm better off on Kill to Heal. I'm better off on something on defense. I'm better off on Nimble than on Chronos. Because it's a simple fact that by the time I get Chronos up to where it needs to be, it's not worth it. Now, don't get me wrong, if I have the credits to spend, I will get Chronos 3. Like on Grover, I had a game yesterday on Grover, I got Chronos 2 fairly easily, I put a lot of points into that, and then I went on a very long streak. I had a 16 streak, I think it was. I was able to keep my team alive, and it gave me enough credits to the point of where when I did die, I had 1,300 credits, and I said, you know what, rather than get other abilities, let me get the Chronos 3, but that was a more even game. That's, you know, that was a 2-2. That was a 3-1 type game. That was not a game that we were winning handedly. We were fighting for that back and forth, so I justified that decision. But on a cooldown build, you don't need Chronos. On my supports, I don't buy a lot of Chronos because I build it into my kit because morale boost is a better choice on almost every flank. I mean, every support. Fury, not so much. Her ult is kind of weak. That's why I get Chronos more on her. But I actually buy Nimble or Master Rider more. Because I need Master Rider to catch up to my tanks that have Master Rider. Because my tank should have Master Rider. Genos, morale boost, because, oh my god, his ult can be so fucking hard to hit sometimes. Unless your team is stupid and thinks step into the light and they'll get a fucking cookie. But no, trust me, morale, it's a good, powerful ult, and it's hard to hit, so you want morale boost so you can spam it. That's one of the top items I get. It's usually Kill to Heal and then morale boost. Really, unless I'm running an off-healing build, like my Luminary build, or my damage build, I don't buy Chronos. Grover, his ult is pretty powerful, so if you buy morale boost over Chronos, I feel you. Go right ahead, I understand completely. On Grok, again, I can understand it. I think he needs the Chronos more, personally. If you want to buy morale boost, be my guest. I just prefer... This is really the only healer that I will say I like Chronos on. I want Chronos on. Damba. His ult is, again, a better ult. It's a crowd control. This is crowd control. This is healing. This is healing. This is damage. Furious is a boost. Pip is kind of a weird buff. It's a pseudo buff damage thing. It is a crowd control type ability, but it is a buff damage type ability. But again, I have enough cooldown reduction where I can confidently buy morale boost some games. Ceres is a big crowd control. It's a setup for other damage abilities like a Koga, a Victor, a Tyra, an Androxus. So it's important to have that Ceres ult. It's important to be able to do that. And then looking at Ying, her ult is healing. Her ult is healing per second to every person, no matter where they are. That's why I never buy Chronos on her. Buy morale boost. She has a 5-second and a 4-second cooldown. If you buy Chronos, you're doing it for the teleport. And I don't know why. Because you can buff that shit in your loadout. Again, don't buy Chronos on supports. I think Chronos is overrated. If it was at 300 credits, I would be buying Chronos probably every single game. It would be Master Rider, Morale Boost, or Chronos. But for me, it really, most of my decisions in the utility category come straight down to Morale, Master Rider. Morale, Master Rider. Oh, I'm playing Grok. Chronos. Or Morale. And it's almost always Chronos. Oh, I'm playing Grover. Chronos or Morale. Oh, I'm playing Furia. Nimble or Master Rider. So trust me. And this goes to my next point I want to bring up. A lot of times, this is what I see happen a lot of times in ranked play nowadays. Furia. First pick, first ban. This is an odd thing I'm going to say. Supports should never be banned. What? Well, here's why. First off, your first pick. Let's say your first pick. Are you going to be playing support? More often than not, you're going to pick a tank because tanks run ranked. You're going to be picking a deadly damage. Strix, Drogos, Cassie, if you're on PC, Cassie. Or you're going to be picking a high priority flank. Koga, Buck, Knave, Moji, that's me. So you're going to be picking somebody that's a bit more value. Usually, this is the thing I have to say. So for your first 3 picks, you're normally going to see a damage, a support, a tank, 2 tanks and a healer, or 2 tanks and a damage. For your first 2 picks, though, you're most likely going to see 2 tanks or damage tank. Very rarely do you see healer. And there's a reason for that. Healers are mostly mid-level picks. It takes a certain type of person to play a healer. You're not going to see Pip picked first pick right off the bat, especially on PC, to be played as a fucking healer. It's mostly going to be picked for damage. You're not going to see Grok first pick nowadays, which is sad. Like, Furia is literally the only character of the support class that I see first pick, first ban, and it shouldn't be that way. Let's say she is overpowered, putting my personal feelings aside, let's say she is an overpowered support. Here's the problem. You first pick Furia, and the enemy team now picks Khan with Firing Line, which counters her stun, and Liane with Death and Taxes that counters her Solar Blessing and her healing. You've effectively countered their entire basis of your team. You have to realize your first pick is the basis of your team. Pretty much. You're saying, get this champion because this is what we need to win this game. There may be better champions out there that fit this team better, but we're getting that champion. So you picking Fury says, okay, we're going for a high sustain build with maybe 2 tanks buying Rejuvenate and a damage flank combo. Right? And I say Liane, and I say Khan, and I give you the middle finger, and your whole Furia strategy is toast. And then your team says, okay, well, we need tanks, so we're gonna get a Nara, because that's a high tank with low mobility, so you're gonna hit the Furia will hit that pretty quickly, and we'll grab a flank for the hell of it. So let's get rid of Xin, that way their Xin can start applying pressure on the enemy backline right out of the gate real early. Yeah! And so my next 2 picks, oh well, I get Fernando, so that I can counter a Nara better, by having constant burn damage on her, so Fury can't do that much healing. And I say, oh, we need a backline damage that can counter Xin. I wonder what's a good backline damage that can counter Xin. Oh, it would happen to be Shaolin. So now I have 2 damages, and I have 2 tanks, and I have 2 damages that can flank if need be, and I have Fernando who can push up, and I have Khan that can push up, and so they pick their next 2 picks, and they go, okay, well, we need a tank, so we're gonna grab, by the way, I'm going under the assumption Makoa, Terminus were banned, and I'm going under the assumption that, for whatever reason, Willow and Drogos were banned. So let's just say Willow, Drogos, Terminus, Makoa, right? Jaguar Falls, let's say it's that. So they decide, well, they left flank open. Well, let's pick up Koga so that we don't have to worry about DPS at this point. We've got Koga now, and we've got Furia, and we've got Inara, And I forget who I named off for their other... Oh, I didn't name off another champion. Did I? Furia, Anara. Completely forgot who I named off. I don't know. Just roll with it. Oh, and Zin. So we're gonna get Koga for the DPS, and now we're gonna pick a second tank. So we'll pick Torval. That way there he can support Furia in case Furia gets burned out. Because now you have to start counter-picking. Because I've counter-picked your Furia and your Anara. So your healer and your tank have been counter-picked. And I said fuck you to Zin, I didn't even care. Right? I've still got one pick left in the bank. And now you are counter-picking me, finally, by picking Torvald. And maybe Koga with Master of Arms plus Wrecker to burn down the other two shields. Maybe that's what you call your counter-pick. But that's your team comp. And you know who I'm going to pick for a team comp here? I've got my 2 tanks, I've got a healer, and I've got DPS. No, I don't have a healer. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a healer. You know who's left in play? Every other fucking healer besides Furia. Because most people don't get their supports in ranked until 3, 4, or 5 pick on their team. Damba's available. Saris is available. Genos is available. Do I run Luminary with Shaolin and Lian? Do I run Saris with Void Abides to heal my tanks better? Do I run Damba for just general close range heals on tanks, long range heals on Lian and Shaolin? There's so much I could do on that. I've already got Khan covered as a backup healer, so I'm not really concerned about having that so much. Maybe I run Pip, give me a little bit more damage. Or maybe I run Ying. That way there we have a little bit more of a mobile, teleport in and out style with some decent damage on her. That's the problem with ranked. When I see a first pick, first ban on support. Because this is the other thing, and I want this to be effective. Hey, Furia. Solar Blessing right there, yeah? Yeah. So this is how you counter Furia right off the bat. Oh, I'm sorry. You were saying healers should be first pick, first ban? I'm sorry, what? I couldn't hear you over the sound of all that cauterize. You can literally buy an item at the start of the game that counters their entire first pick strategy! Healers should not be first pick, first ban in ranked. Stop. Not to mention there's another thing I think is very important to note. How often do you see someone that doesn't want to play healer being stuck on healer in a ranked game, especially in lower ranks? They don't want to be a healer. You know, if you're talking about your gold 1s and 2s, your lower level plats, maybe they're playing with a friend who's a plat, and they get roped into a diamond queue game, right? Well, here's the thing. The problem with that whole mentality of, you know, oh, so they're going to be stuck on healer, first off, is this. They don't want to play healer to begin with. So they're not going to be as skilled on healer, or they're not going to be as skilled on healer, or they're not going to have good healers. So you could say, well, you know, we're going to ban this, and this. Because, like, this is the only strategy I could ever realistically suggest to you in a ranked game. If your team does not have first pick, you're the second ban, which means you get to pick your 1 and your 2 right off the bat. I would recommend, and this is a wild card, your first 4 champions, pick or ban, should be Grok and Pip. And then the 2 supports that do the most healing, that do the most good. So Furia, Damba, or Saris Genos. Leave Ying, leave Grover. That's my first recommendation. Leave Ying, leave Grover. And then leave 2 of the other 4, whether it be, I would say maybe at that point you could do Furia. I would pick Damba and Grok and ban Pip Furia. That's my personal pick. And leave the Saris Genos. Even though Saris Genos are quite common in this game, if you don't want to leave them with a new player with a level 0 Pip, so they have a healer. you want to hope and pray that they don't pick a healer. Because now their options are Genos and Ceres and Ying and Grover. And not a lot of people like bringing Ying and Grover into ranked. You're going to do a Luminary Genos, most likely, and it would be avoided by Ceres. So Ceres is interesting, but if you leave Damba or Furia, most people later on will jump on it. So that's why I would say Damba, Furia, Grok, and Pip. That's who I would do. Ban 2, pick 2. Because now you're leaving them with no healing options. And if you can get a third person roped in, where, for example, you have Grok as your tank, if you were to then pick the Genos or the Ceres as a healer, maybe pick Ceres as a healer, have Damba as damage, or pick Genos as a damage and have Damba as a healer with a tank and an actual DPS or an actual flank, then I understand that sort of a team comp, because now you've reduced their healing options to 3 people. But why are you going through all that trouble? I've won more ranked games without a healer than with a bad healer. Because as a tank, you see a healer and you think, oh, I'll buy Rejuvenate so that it can heal me better. And then they don't heal you and you've wasted 1,200 credits. That could have been spent on Haven and Kill to Heal and Master Rider and Cauterize. So that's why you don't want to pick those champions. And you don't want to buy Chronos, because it's not worth it unless it gives you a 1-second cooldown reduction. Because either that, or you're planning ahead. And if you don't get 2 seconds off by Chronos 2, you're wasting your money. That's been my video. I know that's going to cause a lot of controversy, but it's something that really gets on me. And you can tell it was a bit ranty and angry style, but there was a reason for that. I've gone into so many ranked games with somebody being a healer and not healing, and they load up on Chronos and they think that is going to make them a good healer. That having lots of Chronos will make you a good healer. It doesn't. Or that banning Furia, first pick, first ban. Oh my god, it's a requirement. Oh, every ranked game needs a Furia ban pick. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Alright, thanks for watching.